Oh, well, hello there. Haven't seen you in a bit. How have you been doing? I hope you've been doing well. I've been doing reasonably well myself, and good to see you again. Okay, sitting here, I realize you might have some questions, the most pertinent of which would probably go something along the lines of, Andre, where the fuck have you been the last 3 months? We haven't seen your face in forever, which I'll admit is a pretty fair question right out the back. I've got answers today. This is a short update stream of mine where I'll just, go over some of the things that have been happening, what's been keeping me, and I'll try to answer that question as to why exactly I've dived under the last 3 months, and, also we'll go into what the future will look like. So, first of all, I haven't completely disappeared from the internet. If you've been following my comic or any of my writing or any of the other stuff, you'll probably notice that, especially on my website, I've been keeping pretty active. Video format-wise, not at all, but at least in terms of content, I've been, steadily pouring content out. However, last time we saw each other, I promised there'd be weekly streams, and that obviously didn't happen for a whole number of reasons that I'd like to go into right now. So, first of all, as I said, comic, everything's going decently well with the comic. The schedule's still a bit slower than I'd like it to be, but considering I'm now in my first master's semester, I'm also officially a bachelor now. I finally got my grade on my bachelor's, so that's great. Got a straight 1, so 100%. Can't complain about that grade. So that's cool. But it turns out I considered the master's to be, just something you take on another 3 semesters of work. Nothing much. I may have been a bit wrong about that assessment, considering how much work has been piling onto my shoulders these last few weeks ever since it started. This might be a bit more effort than I thought it would be, but at this point, I'm not fucking gonna quit. Might just as well pull through with it, and that might mean a lot of the content I'm gonna talk about and a lot of the stuff might go a bit slower than I'd like it to, but might as well at this point. I'm not gonna quit now. I've 1.5 years. I'll fucking live for another 1.5 years in university. I don't necessarily want to, but I'm not quitting at this point. Why not? Why should I? It's going reasonably well across at least the school university side. So why quit, right? Might as well go for the. Okay, I'm not going for the top. I'm not fucking doing a doctor's. That's not gonna happen. I'm fucking sick of school as it is already. I'm not. There's you can't fucking squeeze another fucking doctor's degree out of me. But master's, sure, why not, I guess. So comic has been going decently well. We're up to page 21 now, and page 22 is already in the works. I'm gonna shoot for release next week. That should happen reasonably. There's also been short story stuff I've been doing, that I promised last stream. That's the only thing to really have come true, though. I also talked about releasing the first chapter of my book, but that's not reasonably gonna happen. I had that first chapter sitting on my PC for a while with obviously the entire story already drafted out, and reading it again, I realized my writing is not as good as I remember it being. So if I wanted to release it, I'd have to do a major rework, which isn't impossible. It just take a lot of time. And for now, I'm enjoying the short story business. So obviously, the first short story, which I call Royal Fuck Up, is out. All 3 parts. It really barely even qualifies as a short story with how long it ended up being. The first draft, when I announced the short story, and it was about half the length it is now, but I kept rereading it, redrafting it, rewriting it. And so it turned out to be a lot long, which served me well enough because it meant I could split it up for 2 3 parts. And that's what I did. So 3 parts delivered in not what I wanted the schedule to be. So I thought that I'd go back on a weekly schedule with the comic, and on the days or on the weeks where there wouldn't be a comic, you'd get an update for the short stories. That didn't happen because I wanted to go back to weekly schedule for the comic. So I put way too much work trying to get the comic to work, ended up not having time to continue drafting and writing the short story. So on the weeks where there wasn't a comic, there also wasn't a short story because I was spending all my time working on the comic. So that's an area where I can improve, just time management wise. And that's an area where I will try to improve in the future. So we'll get into scheduling in a bit, and I really don't know about scheduling. Again, I've been receiving a lot of work from my different professors at the university, a lot more than I'm comfortable with, or at least a lot more than I'm comfortable with if I also want to have a regular schedule for my other content online here. But we'll set up some schedules later. And I have said this before, but I'm feeling reasonably confident in me actually being able to fucking keep up a schedule for once. The reason why that is, we'll get into a bit. And actually, right, okay, so what I've been spending my time with also, so aside from comics and the short story, is obviously my MahPicoBoi stuff. If you've been looking at my website or following my stuff elsewhere, you'll know, or also even watch the video, because there's also videos on that thing here on the channel. You'll note what I've been working on, a MIDI interface for the Game Boy, and I end up creating this thing, which we'll get into in a bit, and about how that pretty much cost me like 2 months of my life for, at this point, 0 return, which, like I said, we'll get into that in a second. Okay, but let's get into the announcement. So that's what's been happening. I've been keeping busy. I've just been kept from... Well, okay, the video stuff, I actually really don't have that much of an excuse. I've been wanting to do this update video for like 2 months now. But every time I wanted to do it, either I was fucked by scheduling, because it turns out, because of my university, I don't actually have that many evenings free. And as you can see, today's not evening, it's currently the day. It's really white outside because it's snowing in the middle of April for some reason. But I'm actually recording this at daytime because I do not have time in the evenings anymore, at any day of the week pretty much, which kind of sucks. And because I like having my streams in the evening, it's just something for me to relax to at the end of the day. But apparently not. God and my friends and university combined together and decided, you know, fuck your evenings. You're not going to have any free evenings anymore. So that's cool. I enjoy that. And with I enjoy that, I mean I don't enjoy that. And anyway, so streaming. Streaming is the first big announcement. Or actually, to finish my point before you skip ahead, to finish my previous point. So I kept wanting to do update streams, but not having time in the evenings, and that's why it kept getting dragged out. And there was also, because I've been working on the MahPicoBoi stuff and a couple of other things, there kept being more cool shit where I thought, okay, on the few evenings where I had time, I thought, well, I could do it now, but I could also do it in like 3 days where I probably have free time in the evening, and I could announce some other cool stuff that I'm currently working on. Which I realized wasn't that good of a mentality to have, because it just meant that there wasn't any update streams. And I mean, it's not like these things are incredibly hard to record or anything. They're really fucking simple. In fact, as I've noticed, I'm not very good at, or I'm decent enough at editing, but whenever I put a video into editing, there's a fucking 90% chance it'll never be put out, because the perfectionist in me just activates and decides, okay, time to sink 60 hours into editing a 20-minute video. And then I look at the end result of 60 hours and decide, you know, this is still shit. I need to put another 60 hours into it. So that's why this video, for example, this isn't actually a stream. I think I said stream earlier. This isn't a stream, it's just a normal video, because this wouldn't make sense as a stream format, because what could you comment on in real time except for calling me stupid for not being able to keep up schedule, which is fair, but you can also do that in comments below. So you'll get pretty much the same experience. So this is an update video, and this will be unedited, or except for me cutting some stuff at the beginning and maybe the end, this will be unedited, because there's no point in me editing this, especially if it means that this fucking update video will take another like 10 months to release. So in general, we'll get into the announcements now, and this will all tie together. So streams. Last time we spoke, I said that I wanted to do Rykani-Cast as a stream format and game streams at some undefined moment in time later. Change of plan now. Reviewing the footage of the last Rykani-Cast stream and rethinking the idea in general. For some time, I was convinced that I was gonna cancel the Rykani-Cast stream simply because I didn't have time. and that the short stories would actually take over for the Rykani-Cast. But I think that's a bad idea. I think I found a better solution. So streams, the Rykani-Cast won't be streamed anymore. Simply because it doesn't really make sense. Again, you could see it on the live comments on the last. There were very few comments, and what I assumed was a trolling attempt by that one guy that asked me to play PlayStation in the middle of the podcast. If it was a trolling attempt, it was fucking pathetic. But if it wasn't, I'm sorry. But if it was really fucking pathetic. And I understand, and it's reasonably to assume that, you know, shit like that will happen again. And even there was another comment from another guy, and it basically threw off my entire flow of me talking, because I don't think it makes sense for the Rykani-Cast to be a stream, simply because, look, okay, people being able to comment on a stream would require me to answer those comments. Otherwise, why would people comment, and why would I even, you know, have this as a live stream? But again, people commenting throws up my flow, and because of how small this community is for the time being, I don't assume there'll be a lot of people in chat that'll just, you know, already be familiar with the material and ask questions pertinent to the subject we're talking about right now. I think that makes sense. And so they're probably, even if they're completely earnest and not just coming in and they're gonna ask, okay, you know, we're at like fucking Rykani-Cast 15 and I'm talking about the intricacies of fucking Rykani earrings or something. And they'll be coming in like, what the fuck are you talking about? Which, again, is a reasonable question. Well, okay, should I now abort the entire topic and basically, you know, recap 15 episodes of the Rykani-Cast, go back from the beginning, or am I just going to ignore him? Or say, hey, or even, I think that'd be even worse than ignoring him, telling him, you know, good question, I'm not gonna fucking answer it. Here's like 15 hours of video material for you to review, come back when you watch that. Yeah, that also doesn't feel like the right thing to do. And so in general, I don't think a stream format makes sense for the Rykani-Cast, at least for the time being. And I said that I didn't actually want the Rykani-Cast to be a single format, but multiple formats together. This for example, is going to be Rykani-Cast episode 0.5, which will be very different from the next Rykani-Cast, which will be audio only. Because it makes stuff simpler. Even, I don't know if I'll edit that one. I'm gonna try not to, but we'll see about editing once that comes around. But editing or not, even mean, you know, not having to worry about looking like a human being with the camera and all, and you know, making my room at least somewhat presentable, which, oh my god, you can see my bed with fucking undone bedding on top. Yeah, that's what I consider presentable. So you can see my standards aren't really that high for this sort of stuff, for visual presentation. But anyway, me not having to worry about that and just being able to talk into a microphone works better, definitely. And so it's gonna be audio only, which with probably some visuals. I don't know if I'm gonna do it for the first episode, which you can consider a pilot. I'm just gonna recap, you know, the info from Rykani Basics 1. I don't know if I'm gonna do visuals for that one, but I want to do visuals in the future. Just, you know, stuff I drew, some small sketches that I can show on screen at the right time. But other than that, it's probably gonna be audio only. It's something that you can just completely watch without having audio. In the meantime, between, you know, this update video and the last one, I actually did a whole pilot episode for the Rykani-Cast that was very visual in its design. I said that I wanted to do some very light in-universe RP for me explaining me basically taking the role of a ICRA scientist and explaining the whole stuff. I guess it worked. It kind of worked. I may want to release it, not anytime soon, but in the future I'll probably release it just as an archival thing, where you can see what that concept was like. Even about like a lab code and some other stuff. So I really went high effort on that stuff, but I don't think it worked out. I mean, the biggest hurdle, again, was, so the entire thing's recorded. There are two big issues. One was with the microphone, where I decided to move this mic over here, but it turns out that my PC is right down there, so the audio in that video sucks dick. And and I had to I think I already told you the story at one point, but whatever. The result is that I'd have to re-record the entire thing, really, if I wanted to make the audio sound really good. I made it sound decent with some editing stuff, but I'm not really happy with it. But even if I pretend to be happy with the audio, I'd still have to edit the thing, and editing takes forever, and especially because I was using VSDC up until, well, today. I just installed some other editing software today, but before today I was using VSDC, and VSDC is not a good piece of software, let me tell you. At least the free tier isn't. I guess the paid tier is alright in terms of features, but I'm fucking strapped for cash, so I kind of have to go for free software, or you know, obviously do go the way of the high seas, which, yeah, no one's gonna miss a single Adobe license going under. Anyway, but you know, so obviously editing with that piece of shit software made things even more complicated, and in general, just I don't think the first episode of the Rykani-Cast visual format worked out, and I think this new one's gonna work significantly better, and you'll be able to judge that for yourself when it comes out, which will either be next week or the week after. So in terms of streaming, because I also said I wanted to do streams, and streams will be pretty much only game streams. For those that, you know, for those of you that care about me doing game streams, those will start next Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. CEST. There's a big part of my brain that wants to say probably, because you have no fucking idea how hard I've been fucked over by scheduling, either by my friends, university, name it. Whenever I said, okay, I'm gonna have a stream at that point in time, every single fucking time someone came up and said, hey Andre, I know we haven't seen each other for like 3 fucking years, but it turns out I'm in the country right now, and we can meet at one day and one fucking day only. And that's that day we wanted to stream at. Well, thanks, dude. And obviously I'm not that antisocial of a, sorry about that, I'm not that antisocial of a creature. I just say, no, fuck you, I wanna hang out with my internet friends. Nah, at that point I'm gonna meet with the guys. But this happened more than 3 times, I think. I'm not kidding, this isn't me just making shitty excuses. God decided, fuck you, Andre. Out of all fucking 7.5 billion people on this world, maybe 8 billion, we have no fucking clue where we're at right now. Fuck you specifically. Which he has said to me several times in the past, especially with me fucking rolling my genetics, but yeah, it's good to know that there's someone out there that really, really, really fucking hates my guts. But anyway, so Wednesday, gonna try my best, but if God decides that he really fucking hates my guts even more than usual, but I'm gonna try it. I'm really gonna try. And so there's gonna be streams every other week, and the weeks where I don't stream will be Rykani-Cast, hopefully. I still really have to figure out how hard it'll be to record those. Right now I don't consider it to be hard, especially because the scripts for a lot of them already exist, because they'll just be for the next few ones, there'll just be recaps or alternative ways for me to cover in an audio format the things that have already been talked about in the first chapters of Rykani Basics. So that shouldn't be too much effort. But you're talking to someone with severe ADD, and you know, what takes other people like 20 minutes to do takes me like 20 hours. So we'll see about that. Okay, so that's the Rykani-Cast and stream announcements, and obviously Rykani Basics will stay dead, and Rykani-Cast will replace Rykani Basics, and I'll update the website once the first 3 episodes of Rykani-Cast are out, and basically delegate Rykani Basics to some archival section where that's put out of the way. Okay, so that's that whole topic done with. I also have my Word document here. I'll have to go through it real quick. Right. I already talked about Rykani short stories. Rykani short stories are actually the other lynch piece of me trying to explain this universe I've built. So obviously, Rykani Basics was the first attempt, which I wasn't too happy with, especially because it just took too much time. Short stories are basically more condensed versions of that, especially Fuck Up, for example, which talks about a little planet called AP-AAiS that will definitely not have any future impact whatsoever, and it's just a little shithole that no one cares about, definitely. And two characters that also won't play any roles in the future, I betcha. So, and they'll just show different scenarios, different slices of life from the Rykani perspective. What doesn't get fleshed out with the Rykani-Cast will be fleshed out by the short stories. And I think that's a good compromise, especially because the short stories nominally take less time to do than the Rykani Basics entries. Okay, so that's that stuff. Next update. You've been waiting for this for a while, I bet. Ask Rika. Remember that? I do. Still, it's cancelled now. It's dead. You all probably saw this coming. Really, I did too. This was a necessity. The real problem was me not having time. The idea behind Ask Rika was decent. The idea was for me to go out, let the community ask questions, I draw little sketches as a response, and, you know, they'll attract attention. It's like a commission light thing where people don't have to pay for commissions, and people enjoy, you know, having art drawn especially for them, and it gets the people engaged, and all of that's good. Yeah, so especially because my biggest problem right now is just marketing, and me not bothering with marketing. I've realized that much, especially as we're now slowly coming up on the 1 year anniversary of an applications-based Rykaniverse and all of it. Marketing is something I really have to start doing from now on. In the last Rykani-Cast, I talked about how much I fucking despise marketing and how I consider it psychological warfare, which it is, yes. But if you can't beat them, join them. I'll have to fucking join the fucking psychological warfare gang, I guess. Because turns out if you don't advertise, nominally you'd think if you just put out good content, it'll attract attention. But the internet is too fucking big for that. You notice, I notice, there are many talented YouTube channels, content creators, artists, novelists, name it, you name it, out there that, you know, just don't get attention because the internet's too big, and also because the selection mechanism of the internet is very confused and very random, and it'll select just random people to make popular. Are they especially talented? No. Are they especially attractive? No. Are they doing anything especially well? No. But the internet, the algorithm, what have you, has collectively decided that that person, despite sometimes not even being a good human being, and 2 years later it comes out he fucking diddled kids or something, still the internet decided that that person is gonna be the flavor of the month YouTuber or something. And this isn't me complaining about me not being selected for that fucking... Again, whenever I see like a comment on my DeviantArt or my YouTube section, I get like a fucking minor heart attack, you know, just assuming that it's some Italian guy, some fucking mafioso informing me that my content was so horribly offensive and bad that he now fucking set out like $1,000 hit on my fucking head. That's I'm not fucking joking with that. That's still something I really have to get better, and that's also one of the reasons why I haven't really engaged or even wanted to engage with marketing or like social media before, because the internet can be a scary place as someone who's been around for as long as I have and has been to the internet places that I have. I've seen what the internet's capable of, and it's not always pretty. Definitely not. But considering how positive pretty much everything I've put out so far has been received, I'm starting to get more comfortable with this stuff. I think you can also kind of sense that in, you know, me just, you know, how I'm talking to you, how I'm putting out these, well, how I haven't been putting out these videos, but how I'm putting this video out now. Where before I was sitting in my seat like this going, hello, my name's Andre, I make content, please don't kill me. I'm now, you know, again, the best fucking reference point is the brewcast I did with Bruno. We had to get majorly drunk for me to even, as a prerequisite for me going online, which isn't a thing anymore, which, you know, I'm glad about that. That makes me happy. And so I feel like I can now slowly engage in marketing, and not every comment I'll ever receive will be positive. Not everything will ever be completely positive. Even the nicest people on the internet get death threats for no reason because people are retarded. Yes, that's something you just have to accept. And I'm slowly building up to courage to accept that fact and to go out there. And how I'll engage with marketing, not yet sure. I'll probably just do it through Twitter because, honest opinion, I fucking hate social media. Most of it anyway. YouTube is fine enough, I suppose. Twitter is awful, but it's probably the least offensive of the next other options, which are Tumblr. Is Tumblr still around? Anyway, Tumblr is fucking horrendous. Or was, and still is, if it's still even fucking around. I don't know if it survived the pornography death. TikTok is fucking brain rot beyond belief, and Snapchat. What the fuck would I even do on Snapchat? Is just for attention whores, and that's okay. I'm sorry. Just because you own a Snapchat doesn't mean you're attention whore. However, statistically, I'd say that there's a good chance that a better chance if you own a Snapchat that you are attention whore. I'm not going to apologize for that opinion, even though I kind of regret saying it, but it is true, and you know it's true, and I know it's true. And so, it's probably going to be through Twitter. That's the least offensive option. Barely by a very small margin. So yeah, I fucking despise social media, but the internet forces me to engage with it because forums have died. Chat rooms are still, image boards have died for the most part. And so social media it is, I guess. Anyway, so I'll probably just start posting there, see what sticks. There's a good chance that Rykani will make an appearance in the future, in the not too close future. Probably not while I'm working on this master's degree, because again, work, a lot of work. But at some point in the future, I'd like to do something like that. I really want to, because I enjoyed myself. When artists draw, in universe stuff, answering questions, all of that, it usually is fucking great. So at one point, I'd like to do it, but not anytime soon. And yeah, Rykani-Cast that no time is the biggest factor. No fucking time. And yes, fear also plays into it. The fear from me interacting with people, but especially with Rykani-Cast now moving into a mostly audio but drawn visual format. Nah, it's not worth it. It's dead for now. Anyway, again, there's a chance we'll make a comeback in the future, but not anytime soon. And next announcement is the game project. Again, I've mentioned it a couple of times now, and I said that I probably have a prototype or presentation for it by April. We're not gonna hit that deadline. Maybe next month. Definitely by June. Definitely by June. But there's even a decent chance that we'll have something presentable for by May. Obviously, don't expect the finished game. Don't even expect anything near a finished game. Expect a very basic, bare bones prototype, but one that pretty much gets across what we want to do. And that's what I want to show you, and prove that I haven't been lying about me working on a game project, and just spent my time doing nothing. I've been working hard on that thing, and not just me, a couple of other guys too. And we're really excited to share what we have created so far. At one point, at an appropriate time where at least the most basic stuff is put down and actually works. Because obviously, us sharing our game project in an incomplete or broken state obviously wouldn't make sense. We're not AAA companies. We can't afford releasing awful broken content. We still have a reputation to worry about. For now, anyway. Maybe once we'll get big enough, we'll join the AAA guys in releasing fucking broken, unplayable content for $80 plus DLC. But not for now, anyway. Okay, so we're coming up on the anniversary of an altercation in space and Rykaniverse. It both feels like it's been a really long and a really short year. It's been insane either way. Again, talking about just over a year ago, me being on the broadcast, me being too fucking afraid to go on camera, me being deadly afraid of the internet. Again, if you, because I wrote it down at the time, if you want to, I recommend reading the thank you page on my website on Rykani.com. It's down, if you scroll down at the bottom right, it's between the links, like the cookie policy stuff. And reading the section I wrote about Bruno, who runs Brewcast, where I thanked him, where I basically talked about what the experience felt like at the time and how glad I was to wake up with my house not burned down. And things have changed. Things have definitely changed, and in many ways for the better. Some smaller personal stuff for the worse, but in general, the trend line is maybe not like that. You know, okay, this is merged, so okay, no, this is even, yeah, that there we go, something like this. And yeah, in general, I'm happy with it. Also with the comic, the art still isn't good, but it's improving. It's slowly getting to a point where I'm not completely ashamed of it, where I don't completely hate what I'm drawing. We're getting there. And that's also the reason why I want to slowly reach out, because I mean, I could have reached out a year ago. Looking back, I'm very, very, very glad I didn't. I guess, excuse me, I guess as an artist, you always have that feeling in the back of your head, like a year from now, you always be like, okay, at this point in time, my art fucking sucked. Now it's halfway decent, but a year ago I sucked. And I think as long as you're an artist, and you know, getting old and deteriorating, and your art deteriorating, or you're not drawing for a significant amount of time, you always have the hindsight of, you know, my art was bad back then, but now it's slightly better. And so also, even recognizing that, though, the first few pages of An Altercation in Space I put out are fucking horrendous. There's no artistic merit to be found on those. And, you know, that's kind of why you do visual composition. Before you start a comic, you try getting an art style down and sticking to that art style and all of that stuff. I did none of that, and you know I did none of that. And I talked about me regretting not having done any of that, but also me talking about how I really couldn't have done it, because if I tried doing it, realistically, the comic would have never come out. It's a bit of a lose-lose situation, but, you know, now I'm starting to get to a point where I'm increasingly happy with the stuff I put out. Not completely happy, not entirely satisfied. There's so many areas that could still improve, from small detailing, especially detailing is a big one. Detailing, texturing, I want to go into next. I'm still just, you know, posing, anatomy, off that stuff. Still have a lot of stuff to learn, a lot of stuff to do, but it's getting better. And again, I'm getting to a point where I think if I posted stuff out at my website and DeviantArt, people probably wouldn't completely hate it. Again, it's still nothing special. It's nothing especially pretty, but it's okay. I consider it okay anyway. And that's actually all the big announcements done for now. I don't think I'm gonna do anything special for the 1-year anniversary. Maybe I actually have an idea or two, but I'm not gonna talk about anything until it's anything concrete. So, anniversary day is the 15th of May. I just looked it up earlier today, because I thought it started in April, and I remember my original plan. No, now that I remember, no, my plan was for the first page to be done in April, and for me to then release the first page. Then I realized, you know, because I made this big, very, very big, very time-consuming title page at the time, and realized that, you know, me just putting this thing out isn't gonna do anything. No, that page just showed some burning buildings and stuff, and that's not a good first page. I probably need a second page, and at that time I then got the idea for Rykani Basics, also to try and kind of explain what even is happening in that on the first 2 pages of the comic, because it's, as you can probably tell, it's a lot to get into, and I haven't even talked about anything yet. The universe that I'm creating here is, or that I've already created, and I'm trying to explain to you in one form or another, is a lot bigger than you might imagine. There's a lot of content. You haven't seen a fucking billionth of a percentile yet. There's lots to come, and the biggest thing is me trying to find the best pipeline from here to you. And that hasn't always been easy, and probably not be easy in the future, but I'm giving it my best. And how did I get to this point? I don't... Oh, right. I wanted to talk about the release date. So I decided I'd need 2 pages and the Rykani Basics format, the first one of that, and that I then release it on the 3rd of... or the 1st of May. And obviously Whistle from there. But then at some point I said, okay, 15th of May was going to be it. And that was that. That was the date I eventually stuck to. It was Monday, I remember. What an exciting fucking day. I didn't check the DeviantArt responses for like a week or something after that. Because I was fucking horrified of what people had to say. By the end, it was just no comments, if I remember correctly, just some favorites. And which is very kind of people at the time, you know, looking back at my art. Oof, it's not fucking pretty, but again, you have to start somewhere, and if you don't start, I wouldn't be here if I haven't started. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't drawn these first awful pages. And again, a year from now, I'm probably gonna say, man, a year ago my art fucking sucked. Now I'm somewhat approaching decent art, but man, a year ago, even after doing 1 year of an altercation space, my art still sucked. I hope I'm at that point in the year. I really hope so, because I want to keep improving. I want to keep doing better, but we'll see. We'll see about that. And yeah, no, that's big announcement stuff. The next part of the stream, or the video, sorry, it's gonna talk about the other thing I've been doing. So if you don't only care about Rykani stuff, Rykani related stuff, you can end the video here. I thank you very much for watching and wish you a good rest of the day. However, if you want to stick around, want to learn more about the MahPicoBoi, we'll get into this next. So the MahPicoBoi, just to recap, I have 2... How do you want to even categorize them? I guess I have 3 videos on this YouTube channel that talk about the MahPicoBoi, plus there's also a GitHub repo that goes into more detail and has the entire source code. And I have a site on my website where it shows build instructions, how you can build your own, and also goes into the functionality and, you know, the build process, all of that stuff. But the MahPicoBoi in its current, most modern form, it looks like this. It's a Raspberry Pi Pico based, as you can see at the back here, a Raspberry Pi Pico based MIDI interface for your Game Boy. So what that means is that you can connect the MIDI cable to either your own built MahPicoBoi or the PCB, which you can now buy on my eBay page. It's linked on the MahPicoBoi page on my website if you want to buy it. You need to connect it to the MIDI ports to the 2 MIDI sockets on here, connect a modified GameLink cable to the MahPicoBoi, and connect a unmodified end to your Game Boy. And then you can use software like MGB or LSDJ to basically play MIDI music on your Game Boy, or to make MIDI music with a MIDI keyboard or whatever have you, or, you know, play MIDI files through DAW, or really do whatever you want. And that was my bachelor's degree. I already talked about this a couple of times, and it's now done. Like I said, 100% on a bachelor degree. I'm very happy about that. I thought about releasing actually the bachelor paper in English at one point. Don't know if I want to do it. Maybe once LLM translation gets better, I'll just run it through. It's probably already good enough for me to do it. But the biggest thing would be all the graphs and stuff that is currently German that I'd have to edit manually, the image files and everything, which would be a bit of work. So don't expect it. I don't think it's even really that interesting. I mean, the results are the most interesting thing, and you know, you have complete access to the results, the source code. It's also pretty well commented. So if you have experience in programming and MIDI signals and serial signals, you probably should understand everything. And I mean, the bachelor gives a pretty good intro to MIDI signals and serial signals and UART and all of that stuff. But you can learn all of that stuff through like half an hour of Googling, really. If you're into programming, of course. If you're not, that's a bit of a bigger barrier. But I can't help you with that. There are other YouTube channels for that, and my bachelor's degree also wouldn't help you. There's actually a section in my bachelor degrees that talks about, you know, the program code, and I've tried simplifying it down as much as I can, really going down to the basics, ignoring all the syntax stuff, just going through each line and explaining what it does. And the response from every non-programmer that looked at my bachelor's, all of them said, yeah, you completely lost me at that part. I have no idea what's going on. It's this weird thing where once you really understand programming, even on simple languages like BASIC or Scratch or what have you, once you are in the programmer mindset, you really have a hard time understanding people that don't understand programming, because once you get it, you get it. And that's also why it's so easy to switch between languages or learn a new language when you already know. If you know a reasonable language, I suppose. If you know some fucking weird script language and you're trying to learn C++, maybe that won't help. Even then, it probably helps, but not as much. But for the most part, it's pretty easy for a programmer to switch between languages. Again, because once you get it, you get it. And that's why and it was very funny. You know, especially, you know, even my professor saying, of course, they're not programming professor. The one was a professor for like music related stuff. The other was more kind of a bit of everything. He also does programming. He had no problem understanding the stuff I wrote. He's pretty good in C++. He even taught me some stuff about for example, why the MahPicoBoi works at 3.3 volts, even though the game link cable actually requires a 5 volt signal. I finally found an answer to that, and that's because the big switching values for the components that receive those serious signals is around 3 volts, or maybe even a bit below 3 volts. And so if I send a 3.3 volt signals down the line, I actually reach that value, and we flip them regardless of me not actually supplying complete 5 volt voltage, which is very convenient, because again, it means we don't actually need 5 volts for this thing, which is great because the Raspberry Pi Pico only outputs 3.3 volts and really only works with 3.3 volts. And since we can save ourselves a level shifter, that's really fucking cool. And so I wrote this bachelor degree. Originally, the entire thing was on a breadboard. That's what you see in the MahPicoBoi video that I made. So you can see the breadboard setup there. After that, just as a more like a thought experiment, I thought about designing a PCB just to see how that entire design process goes, how that works, and how complicated it is. And it turned out to be pretty easy. And then I ended up ordering a couple, or like 3 test PCBs that worked for the most part. Had a small design issue with one, the MIDI out connection wasn't grounded, which, you know, is actually a bit of a big issue because it needs to be grounded for it to work. But, you know, I could just wire up or solder up a jumper cable and that issue be fixed. So I created that, realized how simple it was, and then I did some calculations, and I realized I could sell these things for pretty cheap, actually. Obviously, I'd manufacture them by hand. I'd buy the components in large quantities to get discounts. And then I'd start selling them. And that's what I did. They're what I consider to be reasonably cheap as well. Especially if you have a substitute program, or substitute, I guess, for people that are outside of Germany. So for Germany, you pay like $30 for the whole thing. That even comes with modified game link cable. But it's basically everything you need to run except for a MIDI cable, because, you know, you need that, and a MIDI device, and obviously a Game Boy, and a flash cartridge. You also need a flash cartridge for a Game Boy to run MGP or LSDJ. But apart from that, it comes with everything. That's like $30. And if you're outside of Germany, I even reduced the price to $25, though you have to pay for international shipping, which is at least $6, between $6 and $12, which really isn't that bad. I mean, the thing's fucking tiny, as you can see. It's not that big. It's really fucking small. So the shipping costs, in my opinion, are completely unreasonable. The problem is that it's too high. If it was a bit flatter, then I could ship it for basically nothing. But the problem is it's a bit over 3 centimeters high, and apparently, I think at 2.5 centimeters, there's a certain threshold where they'll then start charging more. Which I probably have to pay that higher price anyway, because I also, you know, at least at times I have to ship cables, and I also obviously ship it in an anti-static bag, so I probably get up to that price anyway. But regardless, so the economics made sense. So I started working on an improved version of that PCB that kept getting smaller and smaller, because I realized, you know, the smaller I made the PCB, the less I'd have to pay per unit. So that's why we ended up with a ridiculously small design like this. And really, I could probably go even smaller if I tried again. Actually, yes, I know I can. Especially also if I use surface mount components. So I'm using THT for all the components right now, simply because it's easier to work with. I might use Okay, I might use surface mounts if I ever do another run of these. The big problem right now, of course, is that they've been out for 18 days now. I released them on the 1st of April, and obviously I haven't received a single order yet, which isn't because there's no demand for them or anything like that. The biggest problem is, again, me sucking at advertising, and you probably not knowing that they exist, and so, or the people that be interested in them not knowing that they exist, and so them not selling. That's the big reason why. Getting a fuck ton of views for the things on the eBay page, but so far no purchases. I don't know. I hope I'll recuperate some of the costs for those. If they're really just gonna sit here in storage, that's a bit of a money sink. I already said I spent quite a bit of money developing the first MahPicoBoi. Then I set up the Ko-fi account, where I hope that at least someone would give me like 50 cents for me to recuperate some of my costs. That hasn't happened yet. Again, mostly because I suck at advertising because of how little content I've been putting out recently. And so I'm sitting at a very, very large deficit here right now. And this isn't me begging for money. This is me just saying things aren't necessarily going well on the money front, which is fine. I maybe should fucking show some austerity for a bit. I've been on a purchasing spree before that anyway, and can't actually see it. Maybe I can make the camera. Yeah, nope, down here. No, you can't see it, but there's I own a Sega Saturn and a Dreamcast now, because Japanese ones, obviously, because PAL fucking sucks, and I don't want to play PAL games. But two Japanese Saturn, Japanese Mega Drive, not Mega Drive, sorry, Dreamcast. I managed to snatch them out for really cheap, around $100 each, including a transformer, a controller, and the remaining cables, which was a really fucking good price if you ask me. So I impulse purchased those, and also I've been playing a fuck ton of Saturn, especially Daytona. I fucking Daytona and Outrun. Those have been my two, which, okay, two arcade ports. Yeah, that sounds about right for the Sega Saturn. Yeah, that's right. Those are the games I played the most. Barely played any Dreamcast because I realized I'd have to get a Vim for the controller, of course, else I couldn't save, which is a bit of a problem because Vims are like $40, which, I mean, compared to the console price of $100, it's not that much, but you know, if it's between me sitting between a console I factually can't use because I can't save, or paying for another $40. Currently, my brain is in full austerity mode and saying, nah, $40 is too much. I'd rather just have it sit there on the ground to be a nice display piece than actually playing it. Which is fine. There's still a couple of Sega Saturn games I want to beat, including what's it called? I'm probably not gonna remember the name now. I could get the disc real quick. No, I'm not gonna bother. It's a platformer that starts with A. There's probably only like 5 platformers for the Saturn, so you probably already, if you know the Saturn, you probably know what it is. I think I got to the last level last time I played it because it has limited lives and fucking died on the platforming levels with the cloud layer at the bottom where you just fall through, and a stall. That's what it's called, a stall. Yeah. I think I hope that's the last level, because if there's stuff, or I guess there's a boss fight beyond that, but if there's much more than that, game's fucking impossible. Because that fucking cloud level is brutal, even with the special ability that stops the platforms. But anyway, yeah, so I'm in austerity mode right now. Financials aren't they're not looking terrible. Not looking good anyway, especially because I should start, saving some money for, I don't know, unimportant stuff like buying a house or a car later on, stuff like that. Or I could just buy more Sega Saturn. You know what? The Sega Saturn sounds like a better deal. So anyway, it's been bad financial decision one after another for me, and that's another reason why I should really get to advertising. Again, not to make money, not to elicit money from you by locking content or anything. I talked about all this stuff in Rykani-Cast 0. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not what I want to do. Instead, I have voluntary donations for those who want it, and I'm gonna sell products, I suppose, services, stuff that doesn't make sense for me to put out for free. A comic is a fucking PNG or a JPEG. locking that behind a paywall, I don't fucking really agree with that. But MahPicoBoi is a physical product that you can have in your hand that actually costs a fair bit of money. Not just time, but money also to acquire the components and soldering it together. And even me just designing the software behind it, designing the PCB. Pretty time expensive, and the components also cost a fair bit. So I have no problems for charging for that stuff. Obviously, yeah. This is economics not even 101. It's like 001 or something. You probably understand what I mean, so I don't have to drill into this point anymore. But if you're interested, I have the page on my website. I have the 2 videos that talk about it. Receiving very, very favorable views, especially the main MahPicoBoi video with like 5 likes at this point, which I'm very happy about. That's cool. And I also did a very interesting thing where I posted upon about the thing on Reddit. Reddit is another one of those social media platforms I dislike heavily, but I actually pulled through my dislike of Reddit just to post about MahPicoBoi on r/GameBoi, because I thought the people would enjoy it, and they did. So yeah, sure, why not? That was my, I guess, first big attempt in advertising. So yeah, sure. I think people definitely enjoyed it, and that makes me happy. So sure. And that's the big part of it. That's pretty much all of it. So MahPicoBoi is done. That's not that. Also, it did cost a lot of time for me to, first of all, design the PCB, then getting the PCBs manufactured, shipped to me, then acquiring all the different components, having those shipped to me, and then assembling the thing, putting up the eBay page. All of that stuff cost me a lot of time, and that's a lot of time I now have more or less not really free. I mean, it was during my semester break. Now that time that I spent for those many weeks working on MahPicoBoi is now being wasted sitting in class and listening to shader stuff, graphical programming, graphics design. No, not graphics design. Computer graphics. That's what we're doing again for some reason. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's what I want to work in. Yeah, definitely shaders. Yeah, maths. Yeah, maths are cool. Yeah, math is cool. Yeah, that's what I want. No, that's not. I fucking hate it. But that's what I'm gonna have to push through, at least for this semester. Next semester is more interesting stuff. Large language models, AI stuff, game engineering for advanced game engineering, whatever that's supposed to be. But for now, it's computer graphics and maths, and I'm not entirely happy about that, but sure, whatever. I'll push through. It's not long now. And that's all of it. As I said, more content in the future, hopefully more regular content, a lot more content, more scheduled content, hopefully. I still want to get up to weekly schedule for an altercation in space, but I don't think that's reasonable anytime soon. Sadly, really sadly, but the short stories and I think the Rykani-Cast are going to cover at least some of the stuff I want to tell anyway. There's some... Can't believe we're still stuck in a fucking spaceship off the beginning, but the story gets more interesting once First Flag gets out of that fucking spaceship, trust me. But that's going to take another bit at this rate. So not too long. Maybe I can get to that point this year. I hope so. I'm going to try. I've been putting out stuff more consistently. I'm at a 10-day turnaround time currently for the comic, which isn't bad. Isn't really bad at all. 10, 11 days. Obviously, still that means around 40 pages per year, something like that, even less. And that's not enough, and that's below what I want it to be at. Even 52 pages a year, said this before, 52 still wouldn't make me happy, but 36 definitely doesn't, so we'll see how that turns out. I'm gonna try putting out more pages, and again, putting out the others content. We'll see how the schedule goes, but at least the stream's now on a schedule. The short stories, we'll see about that. Especially since, again, comic takes priority over short stories, so I only work on short stories when I'm on time with my comic, which is very rarely, because my actual workflow for the comic is supposed to be 7 days. I have a workflow document set up where I have all the steps laid out for what I need to do on each of those 7 days to get it done in time. And you know, whenever I fall behind that workflow document, I basically cease all the work and try finishing the comic. And that's usually where I fall behind on schedule on pretty much all things. But again, Rykani-Cast is now set in stone. The stream will return starting next week. Comic will continue, short stories will continue. And no more work on MahPicoBoi, which I'm kind of happy about at this point, because I worked on this thing too long and now I'm kind of sick of it already. But that's fine. And I think that's it. I think we can end it here. I thank you very much for watching. This didn't turn out to be a short update stream, I realize, 55 minutes, but whatever. I said everything that needed to be said. You're now up to date. I'm up to date. Sure, I'm up to date. I didn't know what I meant with that, but I apologize for disappearing for as long as I did. Again, more regular content in the future. And I wish you a good day. I hope you're continue to be doing well if you have been doing well, and if not, I even more so wish that you'll be doing well in the future. And this is AP signing out. Have a good one.